What's up, my friend? Abby here, and welcome back to Ask Abby, where I answer your writing questions and help you make your story matter. Wow, it's been a while since I sat down and actually filmed one of these videos. New location change again. I know I keep changing locations on you. And I've been writing like crazy lately, so if I'm at all like, where the heck is Abby on social media and stuff, it's probably because of my book. I'm probably just like locked away with my laptop writing because I've been writing like crazy. So the book has been coming along well for me, and that is really exciting because I wasn't expecting to write it this quickly. Like, I've really been writing it quite a lot, quite often. But that's all I'm gonna say about the book for now because it's kind of a surprise. You know this. You know how I deal with my books, how I talk to you guys about them. I just kind of vaguely mention some vague stuff and I never really give much detail until it's time to share the book with you. So comment below and tell me, what is your writing update? What are you working on at the moment? And how is it going? And let's get into the questions for today. So roll that intro and let's get started.
Why does your story matter? Good question. What if I told you that there's a science behind every great story? I don't just teach you how to write. I teach you how to change the world with your story and make your author dreams come true.
Okay, in case you're new around here and you don't know how this show works, here's the deal. You post your writing questions in the Writer's Life Wednesday Inner Circle Facebook group and hashtag it Ask Abby, and every other week, pretty much, I show up here on YouTube to answer those questions. I don't answer them all because of the constraints of time, but I try to answer as many as I possibly can and just give you guys some organic discussion about your books specifically and your writing questions. So to get inside this secret Facebook group and post a question, plus get a bunch of awesome exclusive content, head on over to patreon.com/Abbie Emmons. Okay, let's get to the questions. First question is from Jay. I was wondering if you had any advice for writing more immersive scenes with all senses. I feel like there are times when I'm forcing it in and I'm unsure of how much information to give, so I'd love your thoughts on finding that balance. Thanks. That's a great question. Describing scenes. Now, I made a whole video, and I'm gonna recommend you watch it. I made a whole video about writing descriptions and pacing, which seems like those two things wouldn't go together, but they actually do. They go hand in hand because here's the thing. You can write as immersive as you want to. You can write as descriptive as you want to, okay? Your descriptions can be as wordy and descriptive as you want them to be. But here's the thing, it's going to affect your pacing. So here's the thing that I talk about in that description video. Check it out for a better explanation. But basically what I talk about is how when you read a book, it is going by at the pace at which you read. So you see everything happening at the pace at which you read. So if you go into a really lengthy, wordy description about something, your reader is going to be seeing that happen at the pace at which their brain can read the words that describe the thing and process it into an image in your mind, okay? But a lot of writers don't think about that. They're just like, I want to describe this thing, I want to describe every single part of it. And then they expect the reader to be reading that description and see it just like instantly in their mind. And we don't. It takes a little while to read that description. So that's all fine and good, but you have to remember that the reader is seeing that like in slow motion in their mind. Okay, so if it was like a movie, say it was a screenplay, and you took just as much time, just as many words to describe what you're looking at, it would end up lasting like several minutes just looking at one shot. Okay, so if it takes somebody minutes and minutes to read a description, or even one full minute, that's like staying on one shot for one full minute. So you have to think about, do I want the reader to really be seeing this that slowly? Okay, so that's one side of it. But if you're struggling with making it more immersive, like you feel like your descriptions are falling flat, or they're too short, or they're not wordy enough, then first think about the senses that you really want to emphasize. So most people's primary senses are sight and sound, especially sight. So I would recommend first focusing on that. What is the sight and the sound aspect of it. What does it look like? What does it sound like? And then if you have time and if you want to make the description more slow and detailed scene, then think about adding in more senses. The senses that immediately come to my mind that immerse me in a scene like right away is sight. What does it look like? Sound, what does it sound like? And this one sounds kind of weird, but temperature, like what does it feel like? But especially like the temperature of the location. I don't know, something about the temperature thing just really, I really like that because it really immerses me in a scene if I can feel what the characters are feeling when they're in this location. So sight, what they're seeing, what they're hearing, and how they feel in this location. And you can also get kind of metaphorical with a lot of this stuff. I mean, it's up to you. All of it's so based on your writing style that I don't want to like say this is the only way to do it. But these are just some pointers to kind of push you in the right direction. But definitely check out that video on description and pacing because I think it will help you a lot. And it also highlights how you don't have to use a lot of words to describe something really specific. Okay, next question is from Crystal. My question is, how does one come up with a mystery? My main character finds out that on her 27th birthday, she's inherited a bookstore. She'll discover later that it's magical, and her parents have been holding onto a mysterious box that they received years before when they adopted her. But how do I figure out the meat of the mystery I'm wanting to develop? I hope this makes sense. Help. So the thing about mysteries is really this. At the root of all mystery really is missing information. So you can take all the ideas that you have, all of the concepts, all of the thoughts that you've had about the plot and where you want this story to go, and make it work as a mystery by simply having missing information. That's missing from the protagonist, okay? Not from you as the author. You don't want missing information from you as the author. The thing is this. There are really only a few types of mystery stories out there, and they're just kind of all recycled and have some subtle differences with like the plots and the characters, but they're really like, you can find so many patterns of like the same thing over and over again, which is kind of cool because it means that you can find ones that you really like. This is what I recommend doing, and this is what I do all the time for developing stories, is I look at what are the similarities in stories I really like. So for this case, look at only mystery stories. What are some of your top favorite mysteries? Like, pick as many as you possibly can and look at the similarities in all of these mysteries. There will be patterns, okay? There will be things that carry over across all of them that you're like, huh, that's a coincidence. They all have this element, and I really, really love that element. Whether it's like a really specific type of plot twist, or a particular motive that the villain always has, or a villain that's hidden in plain sight, something that they all have in common that you love. Now, this is not stealing, it's not plagiarizing somebody else's stuff, it's just paying attention to what you enjoy in a story and then taking that concept and making it your own, with your own characters, your own plot, your own ideas. What it really provides you with is a structure, or something of a structure to follow. Just like with the 3-act story structure, I mean, I can point to hundreds of stories that use the 3-act story structure. Does that mean they all stole from each other and copied each other? No, they're all very different stories. But the cool thing is that you can find these similarities and be like, oh, they all have an inciting incident that pushes the protagonist outside their comfort zone based on their misbelief. Wow, I can use that for my story with my own unique character and my own unique ideas. So again, there's no one-size-fits-all method here. If you just Google how to write a mystery, how do I come up with a mystery, you might find some ideas, but they might not resonate with you, which is why I always recommend to writers that you go out and study stories that you love and find the patterns, find the similarities. And it's good to have these principles, like everything I talk about on my channel. It's awesome to have those principles to fall back on, but at the end of the day, you have to write what you love. So that's the most important part. I really want to do more videos in the future specifically about mystery stories and even like adapting the 3-act story structure to be more for a mystery story. I'm actually in the middle of doing that. So maybe I'll make a video about that when I finish it. Okay, next question is from Sabrina. Hi Abbie, back again for another question. What do you suggest doing when you experience writer fatigue? That is to say, when you have a world and characters, but struggle to get started because nothing sounds or feels right. I've drafted too many openings to count and none feel just right. I've been told I'm overthinking it and just go with it once I start, but I feel defeated too quickly and immediately think what I start isn't worth continuing because it isn't leaving me satisfied. Am I just seriously overthinking it? Love your advice as always. Yes and no. You're kind of overthinking it, but also you are experiencing writer fatigue, like you said at the beginning of the question. The real question is, what do you do when you experience writer fatigue? Because that's what this is. So you might be overthinking it a little bit too much, but I think you also are just too close to it. This is just what's happened to me in the past. When I start a story or I'm outlining something really hardcore and I'm just thinking about it night and day, and every time that I find myself not thinking about something, I'm like, I have to think about the story, I have to think about the story, I have to work out this plot point, and you like obsess over it so much. So I guess you are kind of overthinking it, but like deliberately. It's not like your thoughts are just running away with themselves. You're like kind of forcing yourself. You're forcing this story upon yourself. Does that make sense? And when I do that too much, it starts to wear me out. It starts to tire me out. And then I feel like maybe this story just isn't good. Maybe I just need to write something else. And that's really the answer, which is kind of annoying and sad, I know. But I think you need to set this story aside for the moment and write something else. This is a protocol that I'm not a big fan of when I do it, but I'm always happy that I did it afterwards and I don't regret it, because what happens is when you set this book aside and you start working on something else for a little while, or even if that other thing just like you totally get carried away with it and you love it and you write a new book and this one's just over here chilling out for now, that is honestly one of the best things that you can do. Like in my experience, I've done this time and time again, and every time I make the decision to set this other project aside and work on something else, it's like, oh, I don't want to do that. I want this one to work, but it doesn't. And trying to make it work is almost like just hitting something broken to make it work, and it's not working. You're just making it more broken. You need more time to really consider what you want to do with this story. That's just what I personally can see in your question when you asked your question. That nothing feels right and you drafted too many openings to count. It's not working. Something about it's just not working. And when you set it aside and you go work on something else for a little while, even if that something else is like a poetry book or a short story or something, it doesn't even have to be a big project, but it could be a big project. It really gives you a break to satisfy your fatigue, because that's really what it is. You're fatigued, you're tired, you're worn out from thinking about this book so much, and you need a break. Okay, last question is from Sarah. It's a short one. Can you give advice on what to do when you hate what you're writing? Like, it's just so cringe. I've definitely felt like that in the past. It's been a while since I was like cringing at my writing, because, you know, with practice and with writing all the time, you start to not hate your writing. You start to not only improve, but just improve in the way that you talk to yourself and treat your writing and look at first drafts, just the whole way that you look at your writing process. It changes and develops over time, okay? So it will change. You won't always feel this way about your writing. It can be really good and very encouraging to have somebody else read your work and get feedback. Okay, not necessarily for critique purposes, but like literally just so that somebody can encourage you. Because the thing about writing is this: if you continue writing and you continue practicing your art, you will become a better writer. So it's insanity for somebody to shut down the process of something beautiful before it turns into something beautiful, you know what I mean? So like when it's in the early stages and you don't really like how it sounds, it's ridiculous to shut that down and stop and be like, I hate this, I'm bad at it, I'm done. Like, don't, because that's a tragedy, honestly. Like, kind of what I'm trying to say is that everybody hates their own work at some point, especially when you're first starting out and you feel like you're not that great yet. But you have to stick with it for the long term. You have to stick with it for the end game, which is, it's going to be amazing one day if I just keep at it. In fact, like, I often wonder how many people would be incredible writers and incredible artists and painters and dancers and musicians and all kinds of things, just everything you can possibly list, if they hadn't given up early on because they hated the way that it was turning out. They were like cringing at it, and they were like, this is just bad. I'm a terrible dancer, I'm a terrible pianist, I'm a terrible writer. If you had stopped before you became great, look at any of the greats, any of them. Stick with it for the long game. Have somebody encourage you, okay? Tell them, I'm not looking for critiques. Tell them outright, I am not looking for you to critique this piece of writing. I'm not looking for advice. All I want is for somebody to encourage me and inspire me. And even if that person is me, let me be it right now for you. Keep going, and don't quit. And I'm talking to everybody out there right now who is cringing at their writing or like, I don't like it, Don't give up on yourself. Why would you do that? It's ridiculous. Stop. Stop that right there. Stop. You have to be positive. You have to speak to yourself in a way that you would speak to a great writer that you admire on their first piece of writing that they cringed at and hated. If they gave up at that point, they never would have created the thing that you love so much, okay? Whether that's a book or a screenplay, whatever it is. If that person that you admire, that great writer, had given up before they wrote the thing that you love so much because they thought their writing was rubbish, that would be so sad, wouldn't it? Sarah and everybody else, don't let that be you. Okay, guys, awesome questions. I know I got a little bit motivational speaker at the end there, but it couldn't be helped. I hope you got something valuable out of this video, and if you would like to post a question on the Facebook group and perhaps I will sit here and answer it on YouTube, head on over to patreon.com/Abbie Emmons. Get yourself inside that Facebook group, post a question, hashtag it, ask Abbie, and you're gonna love it in the Facebook group, guys. It's grown to such an amazing community of writers, and I'm so blessed and happy to have you all in there. Smash that like button if you liked this video, and be sure to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, because I post writing videos and publishing videos every single Wednesday, and I would love to have you here in the community. Until next week, my friend, rock on. I hope I don't look like I am literally just melting because it is so hot in here. I feel like my camera is not focusing me properly. Abbie, you're rambling on and on. Would you just stop? Would you just finish answering this question?